If you want to stay up to date with all current hip hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to become part of this community. So we're still talking about the Migos' upcoming new album, Culture 3, that they have teased at several points. We have gotten hints from Quavo, from Offset, who, famously also posted a music video snippet with a new song about, I think, a week ago, which I already dropped a video on, and they were teasing this whole new record, Culture 3, that we're, of course, waiting for after Culture 2 dropped in 2018, and it's now been 3 years, and fans are dying to hear new music from the Migos. They've dropped some singles in the meantime, Taco Tuesday, or the one with Travis Scott and Young Thug, but none of them really did what they thought it would. We had Needed featuring NBA Youngboy, which did perform rather well, and was a little peak in their last year or so, but we're, of course, all waiting for Culture 3. That's the big thing we're all waiting for. And Offset, as I said, he teased a little bit. I even thought that it would drop last Friday, March 26th, but as a lot of you guys pointed out under that video too, they're probably gonna do some more promotion for it. This is their big, this is their holy grail that they're, working towards and working for, and they want it to be perfect. Now, as I've already said in that last video, Culture 2 didn't sit that well with a lot of fans and with a lot of critics because it seemed like a cash grab. It seemed like they just put a bunch of songs with a bunch of features on there and just threw them together as this playlist and didn't really intend for the album to be an album. It was more just a collection of hits that, maybe some of them blow up, some of them don't, but in the end it doesn't matter. And that's what I just don't like about, artists doing that. And that's why I also didn't like Culture 2. And a lot of people didn't either. And so Culture 3 is this is their chance to get back at all those people that said that they've lost their artistic ability, that they've lost their impact in trap music in the Atlanta scene. And so Culture 3 is very important in their discography. Now, that being said, the latest news or the latest hints we got came from the last in the trio to yet talk about this, and it's Takeoff. And he took to Instagram to post some pictures of himself, and he captioned it, "One of the greatest. Give us our flowers while we can smell them. That's all we ask. #blessed." So a lot of blogs already picked this up. I saw this article on Hip Hop DX that talked about how now the Migos already want their flowers ahead of Culture 3, and how they want to be recognized for what they brought to the game. And I think that's, it's acceptable. Culture was a very high impact album that, really defined that era of 2017 trap around that time. And so I think that, Takeoff saying that they want their flowers while they can smell them, that's justified. But also, this already seems like they're very confident with Culture 3 and what Culture 3 will provide to the culture, no pun intended. And I'm just not sure if that's the right way to go, because as I said, Culture 2 has that notorious, infamous reputation as just not being about the culture, but rather just about the hits. And I said this in the last video, that's my only hope for Culture 3, that we will get a more thought out, well organized, maybe a little shorter project. I mean, the first Culture was 13 tracks, and the second Culture was 24, 23 tracks or something like that, which is that's just way too long for an album that is even titled Culture and that should define some new sounds, should experiment a little more with what trap has given them the tools for. And that's exactly what the first one did. The first one, to me, as I said, is a perfect representation of trap around that time. It is the definition of that 2017 Atlanta trap sound, and a lot of people agree with that, and that's why it has that high reputation and is regarded so highly among hip-hop fans. And then they just kind of fell off with the second one. So this third one, what I want from them, and I'm saying this regardless of if Takeoff wants their flowers before Culture 3, because I'm gonna judge the album when we get it and not before. So what I want them to do is not just take a bunch of features from a bunch of high-profile artists, make a couple of songs. We know the Migos can knock out 15 songs a night or whatever that rumor was, but rather really sit down and talk about what they want to do with this album. Now, the intention behind an album is always one of the biggest, things, and one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of artists make. They just kind of randomly start making songs, and then once they have a bunch of songs, they just start throwing them together. But if you really go into an album saying, okay, I want to achieve this, I want to convey this message, maybe, develop this sound with this album, then that will almost always have a better outcome than if you just randomly do a bunch of things, which it seemed like they did with Culture 2. So that's what I want them to do. Have an intention for the album. Have a purpose for the album. And I think they're very well capable of this. I don't think they're just one-hit wonders. They're not. They have had many hits, but it kind of seems like they've fallen off ever since 2018. And that's like the reputation they have in hip hop right now. That the Migos are like this group that was once, one of the high rising stars and one of the brightest shining stars in hip hop coming up. They went on tour with Drake with the Three Amigos or Four Amigos tour, whatever it was called. So they're a household name in hip hop, but they've just not been as consistent in the last 3 years as they were before. And maybe taking this time off can allow them to do exactly this that I just explained what I want them to do with Culture 3. Now, another thing I want to mention is that Quavo, of course, publicly, famously went through his breakup with his now ex-girlfriend, Saweetie, and he also took to an Instagram story to post himself in the studio with a mic with like an angry emoji. So maybe that's also a hint that, they're working hard right now. He's maybe channeling that energy from his breakup into the music, and I can only hope that that has a great outcome. They've also said, I said this in the last video too, I'm just going to say it one more time. They've also said that the lockdown and the whole pandemic has given them the opportunity to really just focus on the music. They said that they're trying to cut down on the way they're outside and interacting with people. So the only thing they do is they're at home, they go to the studio, and then they go home again. So maybe that will also allow them to be more focused, be more clear-visioned with what they want to do with Culture 3, and that's all I'm asking for. I'm going to give Takeoff the flowers once we get the album, not before, so that's my response to that. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. Are you excited for Culture 3 dropping sometime soon? The hints are here. The hints are all over their Instagram pages and all over their social media, so we're probably getting it very soon. What do you want to see on there? What are you looking forward to? Do you also agree with me that you want them to be more focused, be more precise in their intention with the album? And just let me know your general thoughts about this in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media and blog down in the description. It really helps me out. Until the next one, y'all have an incredible day, and y'all take care.